In the video I put together on freedom, I said that our land here was barren and that trying to eat off your land is basically impossible. And it got me thinking, I was like, there's got to be something. There's got to be something edible. So I had a quick look on the internet and found that you can eat hazel catkins. And we've got quite a few hazel trees here. Obviously you can eat the hazelnuts, you know, I've more meant right now what can you eat. And we've got loads of hazel catkins out. So we're going to go collect some. And I'm going to see how they taste, what we can do with them. I've already tried it and they are actually very nice, which is why I'm making this video, because it's worth collecting some. We're out in the plains. There's this section over here that's just kind of grassland. Ah, there we go. There's a specific tree that I'm looking for that I found the other day, and it's really nice and small and compact. And I'm planning on putting some nets around it to collect the hazelnuts when they fall, because I read on how to collect them, and they say mow the grass around, you know. I mean, look at the ground here though, there's no mowing that. And we're all the way up here from the bottom of the glen, so I'm going to build a net underneath it to kind of catch it. But some of the trees are really quite like big and raggedy, and trying to build a net around those would be quite difficult. But this one here is a really lovely, almost like it's been pruned. You know those small apple trees you see that are really quite small but seem to yield quite a lot, and this is one of those. So although now I'm up here, to be honest, the catkins don't look very good. They look better when I remembered them. Maybe we'll go find another one. Got so many older trees here that I kept mistaking the older trees for hazels, so I've been around a few, but I know this one's a hazel. We've got a really good one down by the road, but if you're collecting it to eat, you really want to get it from, you know, somewhere that's not got any pollution near it, don't you? If it's not that there's a lot of traffic down there, but I'd like to collect it as far from the road as possible. Now, as far as I can tell, I've tested the green ones and I've tested the ones that are a little bit brown. I haven't actually tested this, like this one here is really quite brown, but I haven't discovered a flavour difference. So I wondered if the really green ones would be really raw tasting, and I haven't discovered that. So I don't think it matters too much if you're getting them sort of green. I suppose it's a yellowy colour, isn't it? Or if you're getting them slightly brown, it seems to make very little difference with the flavour. They used to collect this, apparently, when I was reading into it, they used to collect it for flour. They would gather the hazel catkins and then grind it up and make a flour. And after tasting it, I can kind of totally see why they would do that, because we'll make a cup of tea and I'll tell you how it tastes then. But yeah, it's I thought this stuff would, to be honest, I was a bit skeptical. I ate one just, you know, raw, like just ate it, because apparently you can do that, just to see what it tasted like. And they say it's got the texture of sawdust in your mouth, and yeah, it definitely does. But the flavour's not too bad. So I've got a jar full. I don't know if there's a good time to collect these or harvest them or not. I'm just harvesting them at what feels like the very last point that you can harvest them, because they're all starting to drop. So I don't know if that's the right time, and I'm not sure if it changes the flavour profile or not. What is it now? January, February, March. It's April. The buds are just starting to come to leaf. So we've got our jar full. Gonna go back and make a cup of tea, and I've got an idea. I'm gonna try toasting some, like, you know, roasting them like nuts, and see if that changes how they taste. I'm not even sure they will toast or roast, but let's go give that a go. This is a bit of a side note, but I thought that these pine trees here were dead in last season, because they shed their needles, and I was like, there's a disease going around in the area that I've heard of, and I was worried that they'd all died off. And then I came out a couple of months ago and I spotted these little purple kind of flowers, and I don't think you're going to be able to see it on this camera because they're really tiny, and I can't get the camera close up because it just doesn't focus. But they're like, and they were more vibrant when I saw them then. And then I discovered that they're larch trees. And I didn't know that larch trees shed their needles. But I also didn't know that larch trees had these amazing purple kind of, they're not really flowers, they're like mini pine cones, they're bright purple. It's amazing. Just a word of warning on the tea. I read somewhere that it says that if you've got hay fever or allergies like that, that you might react badly to the tea. And I had my mother up, mum and my sister and my brother actually, and I gave them a cup of tea, bragging about how great it tastes. Heather, my sister, was all right, but my mum instantly came out with a kind of hay fever reaction. So I'd say check if you have that kind of reaction. It's not dangerous as far as I'm aware, but if you suffer from hay fever, I do as well. I suffer from hay fever sometimes, and I was completely fine. Haven't had any reactions, but my mum had a runny nose, and she didn't react great to it. So probably just check if you have hay fever before you try it. So I've toasted one lot of them, and I can't remember which one it is, but I'm gonna leave it like I don't know and see if I can taste the difference between the two, because yeah, I'm not sure I'll be able to. If I know what it is, I'll be like, oh yeah, it tastes toasted, but I think I'll just leave it and see. So these do sort of come apart, so I've got a small sieve to put them in. When I made it before, this is pretty boiling water, because we've got a thermos that we usually use for our tea, but I figured if you're trying to extract all the goodness, it should probably be freshly boiled. So there's one of them. I'm going to leave it for about a minute. Whenever I have teas like this, I always like them to be the maximum they could be, so that I could taste their full strength. If you dip it in and out, I feel like you're just not getting what they're supposed to be. Even if it's a bit horrible, I like to have at least its full experience. Okay, so that one tastes like it did before, and this one, yeah, they taste about the same, to be honest. So toasting it doesn't really seem to. I think I know that this one over here was the toasted one, because the catkins look a little bit darker. So toasting them doesn't make much of a difference, but most people on the internet seem to be like, they're horrible. But I actually think it's quite a nice flavour. It's like oat milk. It tastes like oat milk, but there's no milk in it. It's kind of got an oaty, like a very carbohydrate, tastes very carbohydratey. Is that starch? The starch that makes it carbohydratey. But I've read they're very good for you. It's not just a flavour thing. I've made nettle tea in the past, and something that shocked me with that was, it sounds really obvious, but I was like, oh, it tastes just like nettles. But for some reason, when you have a tea and you have a tea bag from a shop and you buy it, and it says chamomile or whatever, chamomile probably does taste like chamomile, but some of the other tea doesn't really taste like it's supposed to. Or you get some raspberry teas, don't you? They're horrible. And they're kind of a synthesized sweetened raspberry. They're not really raspberry. And when I drank the nettle tea, I was like, it tastes like you are just drinking a nettle. Like it's, but I quite like the flavour, but you've kind of got to get around your head that it's not a product from a supermarket, so it's going to taste like nature. But this one surprised me because, I mean, in my opinion, it tastes good. Everybody else says it tastes horrible. But I quite like it, and I've tried adding milk to it, and it also tastes good. So I thought because it's quite oaty and has that kind of rich flavour, I thought, well, you know, you could add, it's not really floral flavour, which would go badly with milk. But this, just regular cow's milk, this is, I could definitely, in fact, I've collected enough to keep to keep drinking this, because it's quite nice, and it is good for you. I read somewhere on the internet that, you know, when you read a superfood, it should got all the way through. Lots of really great reasons to eat it. So try it. I think it's worth it. I like the flavour. Like, I actually like it. I'm not trying to fake that I like it. I've already had 5 or 6 cups of this over the past few days, and it's better than white tea, which is something that we buy that I drink. And you have to take the tea bag out immediately, because if you leave that in too long, it gets really bitter. But I think I'm going to try and do a few more videos of edibles on the channel, because it'd be really interesting to try and see how far can you push eating off your own land. I'll show you a book. Let me just go and get it. My wife found it on eBay, and it's the Scots Herbal, the Plant Lore of Scotland, and it's for herbal medicine, magic, cooking, winemaking, beer making. But I was like, I've never tried Hazel catkins, and I didn't even really know you could eat them. So what else is there that I've, you know, could eat? Might taste nice. I'm desperate for a witch doctor. I want to find somebody who, you know, knows all of this and has these kind of remedies. And so far, flicking through the book, there's nothing that's really shocked me, and it's also not all that specific to. It's although it says the Scots Herbal, the Plant Lore of Scotland. It's not. I feel like there might be a bit more of this plot here. I don't know if you saw that other video I did where I used the wick of one of these grasses, these kind of marsh grass, for a wick for a candle, and that worked amazingly. So it'd be really interesting to see if you know of any other interesting things to eat or try around here. Apparently the bark of an alder, I read this in here, will make you sick, as in vomit, and I kind of want to try it just because it's like, really, like, you just eat this thing and eat what? I'm not going to, because it sounds. Anyway, so if you've got any tips that aren't eating the bark of an alder to make you sick, let me know, and I might have a go with that as well. See if we can't build some kind of library of foodstuffs that we can eat in Scotland. So there we go. If you'd like to come find more odds and sods with us here, eating random bits of nature, come join us. Be nice to have you there. We'll see you in the next one. For those of you who are still here, in my hunt for edible things around the plot, my wife pointed out this, which is wild garlic, and it blew my mind because it's a leaf, and she was like, oh, I think that's wild garlic, and I was like, well, surely it's not called wild garlic because it actually tastes like garlic. And we picked it and smelt it, and it smells really strong of garlic, and then when you eat it, I couldn't believe how much it tastes like garlic, because you know when you drink a whiskey and you're like, oh, it tastes smoky, or it tastes, you know, you drink a wine and you say it has some kind of hints of berry, and it doesn't really taste like you're eating a berry, but this leaf tastes like I'm actually eating garlic. The texture's obviously different, but it's amazing. I'm really curious to find what other flavours are around that we don't know about, because that leaf tastes like a clove of garlic, and yet it's a leaf. I've had it in pasta, I've had it on pizza. I've found that the bigger leaves are stronger, so if you have the baby ones, they're not quite as garlicky, and if you cook them lightly, they retain their garlic more than I think they say that raw is the most garlicky, but maybe 3 or 4 of those leaves on a pizza, in a pasta, tastes really great. It's amazing. I can't wait to find other things that we can eat.